Hey there, welcome back. So we're going to start round two, and we're back to the heroes side of the phase, and it's just rinse and repeat until the game's over. Um, we can go probably a little bit faster, because now that you're starting to understand some of the mechanics, I can do them off camera instead of always having to show you every single step. But I'll still try to go slow, and especially when we hit the new concepts. Just like I promised, I forgot to draw cards for my characters after they ended their turn, and I have done that. I won't go through those. We'll just review them when it's their turn, which is right now. Okay, so we took advantage of the room feature, which is this these mushrooms, and we were able to do like 3 bonus damage that bypassed armor. I mean, that's just as good as an action. To be able to do 3 hits. And we were able to hit, 2 different creatures, and we actually did 2 of those hits against a creature with 2 armor. It was a great move, and it's just one of those things that when you start playing the game, you learn to take advantage of the features in the room. Not all the features are as friendly as those mushrooms, and that's the other weird thing about this game is mushrooms to me are like they should be poisonous, they should be bad for us, but that's like one of the best features you can get. The only one that I like more than the mushrooms is the treasure chest, which is also very nice when we get it. There's bookshelves, there's other nice things too. But there's some crappy ones as well that aren't as nice. But for the most part, the features tend to be at least neutral. I would say the coffin is the only one you got to be careful with, but even that one you can overcome. But we have 1 creature left. You can see there, he's the one with the red base. He is the cannibal that's attached to Willow Banks, our bard. That's the only creature that stayed alive. They did do some damage. Every character is damaged except for Ulrich. Or no, Ulrich's damaged too. Every single character has damage. So we punched them pretty hard, and they punched back. I think Hightower here is our only one that's seriously damaged, so we do have to worry about him. But here's our goal for the round. The first thing is we need to kill this guy. The second one, I think, is we need to open another room. We want to keep the room opening going. Now, you might be wondering, is there some kind of mechanism that you can turtle? Like, is there a reason why maybe you want to open that room quicker? Yes and no. The mechanism is not as bad as I originally thought. So for example, if you run out of cards on a particular deck, some of them, like the Raglander deck with a threat deck, you just reshuffle and keep going. If you run out of the quest deck, you just stop drawing quest cards. If you run out of the location deck, the feature deck, you can't go into new rooms anymore, so you're stuck with whatever rooms you've already opened. The villain deck is the one weird one, that when that one runs out, the villain himself spawns, and he's a pretty nasty guy, and at 4 players, he's going to have a crap ton of hit points. So there really isn't something that says, okay, you're taking too long, so we're just going to start spamming lurkers, and they're going to come after you. There's a few mechanisms where things will start spawning, based on the quest mission itself, but it's not so bad. And that's why I've changed my tune, and I no longer think you need to split your party. But I do think we need to get to a new room. My reasoning is just that, we have 5 characters there you see in front of you. All 5 of them are going to annihilate this particular bad guy, and there's nothing left for them to do. That fungal room is not going to help us. Now, that fungus uses orange for searching. Every room you can search and just get like a healing potion or something. So you can find things in a room that could possibly help you. And they're usually just consumables, one-time use type of item. So it might benefit us to search this room at least a few times. And then we also gain supplies. And supplies help us in between missions to get new equipment. They can also help us during missions to heal, things of that nature. So what I think we can do is we can use Hightower to do a search like that, like the kind we're describing, because since he's pretty heavily damaged already, I am not sure we want him to leave this room and go into the next room, which is also going to have bad guys, right, or bad things. So we're going to use Hightower to stay in this room and maybe, search the fungus to try to get some items. We'll do things like that with him. But nonetheless, we still need to kill this cannibal, and we need to get to the next room. The Huey guy, he can move and do an attack, which will be 2 dice. So, Huey will probably, with the armor on that cannibal, he might be able to do 1 damage to the cannibal if all goes well. Maybe more if we get lucky. Or he can just re-roll these altar dice that you see over on the right. So we have the dark, swirly, one. We have the water drop, the fire, and then we call it the lightning ring or whatever. That's between the 2 fire there. And let's go ahead and get going. So who do we want to go first? We always look at the altar dice and use that. So like, for example, who likes to use fire and water, or who needs to? And I'm just looking real quick. Willow could use a water and a fire, but it's not really her thing. Rowan can use the dark swirly. Yep, he can use the dark swirly. He likes diamonds, though. Ulrich is definitely a diamond guy, but he actually does have a fire one, but he's almost always about the diamonds, so we need to think about that. And he likes the lightning swirl as well. And then Hightower for sure is a lightning swirl, is his best thing. So we definitely would like to have a lot of those. Okay, so what do? Huey can use the water drop to change 2 of the dice to something else. So I think we may want to get a lot of lightning swirls, and then we can use Hightower to do some stuff. So let's do that. Huey gets to move 4 spaces. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. I can actually use Huey to go into the next room. That's actually an interesting idea. Because his attack isn't necessarily going to help us that much. And you know what? He has a range 4, so he could attack anyways. Huey could go 1, 2, 3, 4, but the monsters are going to spawn all the way back here. So they have to walk a long distance to get up to here. And what I'm trying to say is Huey with his range 4 attack isn't going to be able to hit him. But if he goes here, he has a 1, 2, 3, 4 range, and he can hit monsters that spawn here, because there's going to be 4 monsters potentially that spawn. So one of them is going to be here and here, because they're going to go closest to him. So his range 4 attack will be able to hit one of them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into this room next. And we probably do want to hit this room over here at some point. It's just that this is working out where I can still at least get an attack in with Huey. So now we trigger the room thing again. So first thing we do is we draw a feature card. So here's our first feature card. It's a weapon rack. And a hero adjacent to it may deal 1 damage to an enemy in the room. Oh my gosh, that's exactly the same as the mushroom. So that's actually really nice. So, and it uses a red search, so that's pretty good. That'll be good for Ulrich. And here is the weapon rack. So we can put it this way or turn it around like so. I do like how the board starts to fill in. That part's pretty good. Don't worry about line of sight. You can shoot through objects. There's nothing that blocks in this game other than the doorway and the walls. The doorway, you only have line of sight orthogonally through the door, and the wall, of course, blocks everything. Okay, next thing, we draw a quest card. And remember, this particular quest is very straightforward, the search. Every card's going to attach to a feature. It's just what happens when it attaches. Last time we got attacked. Remember, we had to do a nauseous fume or whatever. This one is a storage room. Attach this card to the room's feature card. Then each hero may place 1 search token on the room's feature card to draw a free search card. So we don't even have to do a search, we can just get something. And that's awesome sauce. And all of our heroes are saying yes. So we're going to put 4 tokens on this bad boy. And who cares? Now we don't have to do the search function on it. And so 4 search tokens are going on. So what that means is this room's been searched 4 times. And if you want to search now, no matter what your keyword is, you would need 1, 2, 3, 4. It cancels the first 4 successes. You would need 5 successes to find an item in that room. That's what those tokens mean. So basically, this room is picked clean now. All right, so let's draw 4 cards. We do have to pick the order. The game, this is something where if a viewer who owns the game knows from FAQs or whatever can help me out. The game's not very clear on how trading items work. I've read some things on Board Game Geek where somebody asked these exact questions. Nobody believes that you can trade items because the game mechanics don't tell you you can trade items. Like, there's no such thing as, okay, if you're next to each other, you can trade. So we tend to believe that if you pick up an item, it's yours. Now, some of the language does say a hero gets it. So what that means is you pick it up and then you could choose any hero to get the item. It doesn't matter where they are on the game board. I like that rule. So what we tend to do is we draw these search things. If you're the hero doing the searching, you get the item. I don't think it's a hero. And we can just look at the language on the card and you can see. So then each hero may place 1 search token on the room's feature to draw 1 search card. So that hero is drawing the card, and so they get it. Now, these types of items don't stay between missions, so we don't worry about that. But with equipment cards, we have the same question. Equipment cards look like this. These are the things you can get in between missions. Okay? They're all very good. It's just some are better than others depending on your character type. And for example, you might get this spear, but if you're a magic user, a spear is useless to you. So the rules don't particularly say that you can trade items, but for sure, I'm telling you, if you're playing in my table, we're trading items between missions. I don't think that during a mission I'm going to trade items, but when we're between missions, we for sure are. And the reason I believe the rules allow it, and in fact it might be the correct interpretation of the rules tells you that the item goes in the journal. And I believe it says that any item in the journal is considered a party item. So the problem is that the rules give you no examples, no specific anything. So you're left to just, okay, I think this means this. But I'm so insecure with this damn game because I get things wrong. And so I always qualify it with, this is what I believe we're supposed to do. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We haven't won the mission yet. So let's draw. So I'm going to draw first for, we're going to draw 4 cards. I got them in my hand here. And then I'm just trying to decide, okay, the first one is going to be for Hightower. So let's do that. Okay, so what he got is a consumable poison potion. I can choose an enemy within range. It deals 2 damage and 1 damage to each enemy adjacent to them. That's actually really nice. Okay, the next one, we're going to do Ulrich von Liechtenstein. He got an agility potion. That gives him a bonus to his green tests. Dexterity. That actually helps him. I have no issue with that. So we can give that to him. Next is Rowan. He gets gain 2 supply and discard this card. That happens sometimes too. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll get 2 supply. And supply is pretty awesome as well. That's going to help us to get the equipment cards that we can keep permanently. And the last one is a big bugger. Eyes in the Dark. Draw a lurker card. That's the only bad card in that entire deck, I think. And that was drawn by Willow. So it spawns in Willow's room, whatever room Willow is in. These lurker cards can be pretty mediocre, or pedestrian is probably the better word. Or if you get a rival, this is the most nasty card ever. So be very concerned when you have to draw one of these. But we are drawing one now. And it says minion. Minion is good. We like minions. That are not bad. Okay, so we got a Frox Raider. I've fought many of these in the campaign, and we will, in the next mission, encounter a lot of these. So we're getting a sneak peek. So what happens is that shows up on Willow Bank's threat list. In here, I'll show you. So her, she already has one enemy in the threat, and now it's going to show up on the right. So it's in her threat area. And that stinks, because you're expecting to get something nice, and you get on the naughty list. Alright, I'm trying to stand up and not step on my dog here. Give me a second. And I need to find the Frox Raider, which is right here. Okay, and then his color is... he doesn't have a color. So, this is the Frox Raider, and he shows... my dog picked the worst place to sit. Alright. Oh, he pops up right here. So we now have 2 enemies in that room, which is not good. Okay? And now, to make matters worse, we gotta pick 4 more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this first one will go to Willow, then Ulrich, then our rogue, Rowan, and then lastly Hightower. So here's Willow. Willow gets a Raglan Burner. It's a blue. So we get another one of those grenade throwers. Now this time though, they spawn in the room that we open, because this is a action that occurs for opening the room. So Willow now has 3 enemies in her threat area, and that goes there. Then the next one, Ulrich, gets a Curious Odor. Now this is generally harmless, but what it does is every minion threat card in your threat area gains a threat token when it activates. And then of course it does bad things if a diamond's there. I did this wrong in my last campaign, so we're going to do it the correct way this time. But that's in his threat area. Now he has no other minions in his... so like this card is really bad when there's minions in his threat area along with that card. Right now he has just that card and nothing else. So it's not so bad. But you don't want to ignore it completely. Okay, next is Rowan. He gets a Raglan Blooder. So, his threat area, this is his first one. That's the girl with the 2 armor. So now we got another one. Not a nice one to have. This one is in range for Huey, but not a very easy one for Huey to hit. And then the last one is for Hightower. He got a Curious Odor, and he also has no other monsters with him, so the Curious Odor is not necessarily a bad thing yet. Okay, so Huey only has the range to hit 1 guy. 1, 2, Huey is here. He can go 1, 2, 3, 4. He can't hit this one, and he can't hit this guy because the wall's in the way. He can only go orthogonally through a door. So that's a really good example of the orthogonal rule. It seems like it's complicated, but really that's the extent of the rules in this game for line of sight. It's pretty simple. I give the designers tons of credit because these dungeon romping games can go bonkers with these line of sight rules. I'm looking at you, FFG. But this one is not so bad. The unfortunate part is he's going to attack somebody with 2 armor, and Huey only rolls 2 dice. So chances are we may not hit unless we need a crit to be able to hit. So Huey's going to give it his best. Let's try it. And he didn't. He does 2 hits, but it just goes through 2 armor, and then no actual damage goes to the blooder. Okay, so now Huey... and you're right, I could have changed my mind and just changed 2 altar dice, but it would have just been rolling them. I don't know which two I would change, though. Well, the other thing is I'm changing two here by using the little water drop. So I'm going to use this water drop. I get to see what I rolled, which is a diamond, and I'm going to change two. And I think I'm going to change this fire to a lightning, and this one to I was going to say I want to do another diamond, which I think I do, but I want one of those as well. That would be nice too. But I'm going to make another diamond. Alright, so Huey's turn is over. So now who's next? We can do Rowan. He has the trapper's rope, so we can stun somebody again. It's not the worst thing in the world to do. Like I told you, the rope is awesome. I think we want to activate Hightower while everybody is still near him, because Hightower has some range cards that affect everybody in his range. And so I want to look at Hightower's cards and reserve the right to rechange some of these dice. He can actually... The diamond is awesome. The lightning is awesome. Yeah, everything is awesome with him. Even the wind is awesome. He can actually give somebody nearby an extra action. Okay, so let's start his turn off with some healing. We took two lightning bolts, or lightning circles, to... the first one is so his Star of Aluna can trigger. So that's going to be one of them. The next one is we do have this, which is a free action. I can choose an enemy within range, deal 2 damage to it, and then 1 damage to each adjacent one. We now have 2 adjacent enemies up there, which makes that an attractive thing to do. I could try to wait until 4 enemies spawn altogether, like the last time. That's the best time to use something like this, because I would be doing, the maximum amount of damage. But it is an option. We'll just hold on to it for now. And we have a diamond. Alright, let's get back to my original thought. We're going to play a prayer card, which is a very powerful card for him. And that's one of his actions. And we actually have 2 of these cards. So, for the first action, we're going to play Divine Protection. Every character within range, and the range is 4, gains 1 armor, and you don't need line of sight with this one. You can go through the door. You still have to go orthogonally through the door, but you can trace range through the door. They gain 1 armor and heal 1 damage. Okay? And then if we spend a diamond, they gain another armor and heal another damage. How cool is that? That's like the best card ever for him. So I gotta create a discard pile for him. So let's do that. Alright, so we're gonna do that, and he actually has 2 of them in his hand, but we're gonna do one at a time. So everybody's gonna heal 1 and gain an armor. So I'm dishing out, and it's every character. So I'm dishing out 5 armor. Why? Because Huey is in range 2. So these little armor tokens are going on every character card. And what that does is when there's an inflict, it will protect us from an inflict action. And, instead of taking damage, we can get rid of an armor. And we're going to use the diamond here, so it happens twice. And that's the awesome sauce part of it. So with 1 diamond, we were able to put 2 armor, which basically protects 2 damage for everybody in the party. And that's why I love this character. Now the next one is everybody heals. So Willow actually does not have any damage. I said everybody had damage. She does not. I forgot about that. Huey does not, but Rowan heals 1. Ulrich heals 1, and then the most important is Hightower himself heals 1. So we got 3 healed, and then we heal again because of the diamond. So Rowan is fully healed, Hightower is fully healed, Ulrich is fully healed, and then Hightower takes another. So right now, everybody in the party is fully healed, except for Hightower, who's sitting on 5 damage. And I guess there's no harm in moving the camera. So he's got 5 damage, everybody else is fully healed, and you can see here he's got 3 nice little armors. Ulrich is going to be a beast soon. Okay, so that was one action. It was a wonderful action. It was a great action, and I can't do a good Trump impersonation, but that's what I was trying to do. It was huge. There you go. That's what I should have said. I am not going to play the other card I have that is identical, because that one is more of a party card, right? So I have another prayer called Healing Hands, which chooses a specific character, and they heal 3 damage, so he can heal himself. And then I can actually use the lightning circle to heal a character within range, and then they gain a focus. That's also nice. Do I need to heal myself that much? I mean, having 5 damage is bad, don't get me wrong. But I'm wondering if for the next 2 actions I should get some damage in, and then maybe move to the mushrooms so I can, I can search, right? I can do a search at the mushroom, and then I could even, what's the word I'm looking for? I could use the mushroom to do damage to anybody who's somehow still alive after this is over. So, and then I have the ability to go and fetch a prayer from the discard pile. That's also really nice. I can even search my deck for a prayer card and add it to my hand. Oh gosh, he's got good cards. Let's re-roll this, because we used it. Oh look, we got another diamond. Okay, I feel better now, so that helps me decide my action. I'm going to use my mace to attack. That's this. Okay, it uses a red attack, and then see, if you exhaust a diamond, it does 1 damage. So we're going to do that. Okay, so who do we hit? Well, the cannibal has 3 damage, needs 4 more. He carries 1 armor. The little frog guy you see next to him also has 1 armor. Only needs 4 damage to die. Neither one is worse than the other. I would say the cannibal's probably a little bit worse, because it does do... Nope, they both inflict the same kind of damage. The frog guy uses water instead of diamonds, so we got to worry about that. Since they're both actually equally... Alright, it doesn't matter. Let's just finish off the cannibal. Or try to. Or we're not going to finish him, but you know what I mean. We're going to use 2. And then I'm going to use my Star of Aluna, which adds a critical for a lightning. So we now used up 2 cards, or 2 dice. And so that's going to add a critical. And let's roll. And so that's a hit, and that's another critical. So I'm going to roll for the other critical. I'm sorry, I didn't even roll for the first critical. There we go. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. That is really good. He has 1 armor, so 4 damage goes through. And I'll let you take a look at the guy. He has 5 hits. 1 armor reduces it to 4. 4 plus the 3 that was already there is 7. So in 1 action, we killed the cannibal. A lowly priest kills a cannibal. You heathen. Alright, that's done. Don't forget ever to get your supply. every time a monster or a trap is removed. And that's a job well done. So let's roll these 2 dice. The dice were very helpful. We get the lightning bolt back, and the steel mace actually worked quite well. There's no need for him to use his potion. We do have a Frox character still there that can cause some havoc, but we at least took out one of the 2. And then the last action is I can either move back to the mushrooms, which might be important, right? Because why did he get attacked? He got attacked because he's the closest character. So if he stays where he's at and this frog lives to the end of the round, he's going to get attacked again because he's the closest character. Now, he only has 1 action left, and the issue I'm debating is he has this curious odor, and we can start trying to work on that. But I don't need to do that right now. So I'm going to opt for the option of moving 1, 2, 3. So that way I'm near this door so we can go into this room, maybe the next round. And now he's next to the fungus, so we can do a search the next round. And no matter what, he's going to do a damage in between rounds if that frog is still alive. So those are my 3 actions, and I'm sticking to them. This character is not a high damage dealing character. The Star of Elune, where he gets an automatic crit to any roll, that's a once per round thing, so it's very helpful in one battle. But I'll tell you what, I mean, that's better than most characters get. So that's a very powerful item for him. It's a trinket, so he's basically going to have it with him the whole game. It makes him super good, and then his healing abilities, I mean, you just saw. We were able to heal up the whole party with 1 card and 1 die, ultra die. So, it'd be nice maybe to get some melodies on him, so that way if the ultra dice don't match what he's looking for, he could still use his abilities to their best. So that's where Willow comes in. We got to get these bard tokens out, these melody tokens out to everybody. So however we can spam those is very important. The thing is she needs... what does she need to do that? Looks like a fire is actually pretty good for her. But there's no fire there anymore. She definitely needs the wind. The wind would be helpful. So we're going to wait on her, and... the little dark swirly one is not very attractive to most people, but the Rowan can use it if he uses his knife to attack, but he has to be within range 1. So that's an issue for him. And right now he's the only one that seems to have a card that would use it. So this would be a good time. These guys would be good candidates for re-rolling, but it's too little too late. Okay. Deciding who should go next is a lot harder when you play solo. When I was playing with my friends, one of them was always like, "I'm ready, let me go." And whether he was ready or not, he would go next. Diamonds give out inspiration. That's good. Okay. I'm thinking we're going to do Ulrich next. And here's the deal. He has this where he can give 1 inspiration with a diamond. That's always good. He's probably going to give it to himself. He has 2 copies of this. And this goes in front of a hero, where at any time they can discard an inspiration to move 2 spaces and do an action. That would be a free action. But instead of doing that, they can always use the bottom part with the flames, where they exhaust it to discard an inspiration to heal damage, or they use their flame to gain an inspiration. So the language on this, I think we talked about this in my last campaign, is I was really confused. Like, why would you discard an inspiration to gain an inspiration? The way you read this is it's discard 1 inspiration to heal 1 damage, period. Or gain 1 inspiration. If you think of it that way, like, the language on this was really bad. I thought it was you had to discard 1 inspiration to heal 1 damage or gain. You see how the sentence structure could be interpreted either way? And so why would I discard an inspiration to gain 1? I thought this was the stupidest card ever. But it's really, I'm going to gain an inspiration if I spend a flame. Now, the problem with this card is it takes a full action to play it. So even though you're giving somebody an extra action in the future, you're spending your action now to give that to them. And so a part of me is like, well, should I do that? Well, we just opened another room, and no one's running into the room to help. And if I spend an action to put these down, in fact, it would be 2 actions, then I'm in a bit of a trouble. However, the flame can get inspirations out there, and it's a nice way to use the flame dice when they come up. There aren't any right now, but it's still a nice thing, like, when you can, play those actions to get these out. So that way, when the flames do come up, it's, you're there and you're ready for it, and you're not wasting actions during an important turn. And we get the Shielded by Faith. That's something I need to remember. So if he takes more damage, we can use this. Okay. So after all that explanation, what do we do? We got some lightning bolts. See this? Each hero within range gains 1 inspiration. Now I'm giving up the ability to get a critical result, but I think I'm okay with that. So I'm going to exhaust my pendant and roll this guy to give everybody an inspiration, because everybody is in range, including Huey. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So inspiration, I just gave out 5 inspiration for 1 die. I like that. Now, this one is a diamond to give out another inspiration, and you saw that I just rolled a diamond, and I'm going to give that to myself because he uses a lot of his own inspiration. So let me put this down and roll this. And I got the thing Willow needs, so that's good. Alright. Alright, I'm liking this so far, and I have yet to spend a single action. This was all free stuff. Now it's time to spend some actions. So I could get rid of my Curious Odor. It's not a bad thing to do right now. It means I'm not going to be moving into the next room, but... Okay, first action. I'm going to play Light of the Luminary on myself. So that allows me to exhaust that flame token to get an inspiration. So that's done. He now has that in front of him. And since we don't have a flame token over there, I'm going to use a melody token as a flame to get an inspiration. So I'm going to get another inspiration. So I'm up to 3 now. You never have too many, folks. You can use inspiration to block damage with this guy too. So we got all that in place. Now he has 2 more actions, and I'm going to spend 1 to get rid of Curious Odor. So let's put Curious Odor on the board so you can see what it is again. And the way these work, and traps, they work just like a trap. So this says task. I know that's hard to read. It says task, and then it has a picture of a moon, which is the intellect. And the intellect is this this skill right here. And for Ulrich, it's a 2, just like you see for Willow. They all have 2 in this party. And then there's a little number 1 after it. And I did get this wrong in the last campaign, but fully got it now. What that 1 means is you have to discard the first success. First success doesn't count. It's almost like an armor, if you think of it that way. I need 3 successes to remove this. So the first one gets canceled, but every one after that makes it through. So if I want to get rid of this card in one go, I would need 4 successes. Does that make sense? I hope it does. You don't use a weapon. It's not an attack. It's a task. And a task is just you do a test. So we're going to do a magic test, and it uses the magic skill. So I get to roll 2 dice because I have 2 magic skill. And you can see I got a crit. And then this is always a nice one to see. And I got another one. So I rolled again because of the crit. So my outcome is 1, 2, 3 successes no matter what. First success is going to get canceled because of the task 1. And it might be easier to read on the other camera. See how it says task and then that number 1. So that 1 canceled this guy. So I have 2 successes. So what that means is I get to put 2 progress on here. Now I need just 1 more success to be able to close it out. And I can do that if I have a focus token. And I'm checking to see, yep, he has 1, which I've been stubbornly holding on to in previous battles. And in 1 turn, I put 3 progress, and this event is removed. So now I get discarded. You do not get a supply for discarding events. But it's still good, because now if he gets another monster in his threat area, those stench tokens can kill you. If you watched my first campaign, they were not very nice to us. Okay, that's 2 actions. I got 1 more. I am next to, I could try to do a search in the mushrooms. It's probably not the worst thing in the world to do. Or I'd start to try to move. Ulrich usually doesn't have anything that helps him with movement. I could draw a card. I could focus, which changes the die to whatever I want. I don't usually like doing those. I always feel like I'm wasting my turn if I do those, unless there's a very specific card I'm trying to play. There's a lot of options here. I'm going to do the search. So I'm going to use the interact action with the mushroom. So see that search there? Interact 1 means I need to be 1 space away from the mushroom. I'm right next to it. For each supply gained during this test, I deal a damage to an enemy in the room. So it's an indirect way of trying to attack this enemy, because my attack requires me to be 1 space away, and I can't move and attack with any of my cards. So, with that said, I only get to roll 2 dice. I need at least 2 successes to at least do 1 damage to this guy, and I'll explain how that works. And I got a wonderful roll. This is a crit. And then this is a hit with a focus. But remember, I don't have any focus, but I'll at least get 1. And then I roll again. And I got another hit with a focus. So this is a perfect scenario where in the past, I would have spent a focus to get 1. But you don't get these focus till the end. So I have 0 focus, so I'm not allowed to do that methodology. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get 2 focus after I resolve this particular test. So I'm just going to take them now, but I can't use them for this particular die roll. Alright, so what does it mean to have 1, 2, 3 successes on a search? Well, the first thing that happens is the first success gets compared against the number of quest tokens here. And if there's a quest token here, it would get canceled. There aren't any, so we put a quest token because we successfully searched. And if you see over there, there's 4 of them. We tried to explain, and I've tried to explain this several times, and I apologize if you got it the first time. It's just, I don't know why, but my friends, it took several tries before they got it. All right, so we put a token there, and that's going to give me a search card. So we'll look at that in a second. Now, I have 2 more successes. That does not mean I get 2 more search cards. What that means is I just get 2 supply. For every success above and beyond the search, I get supply. So I get 2 supply, and that's added to our pool, and you can see there's a big, large collection. Now, the mushroom says for each supply gained during this test, you deal 1 damage. So not only do we get 2 supply for the party, but now I'm going to do 2 damage to Mr. Frog. Alright, so we're going to go over here. And sorry for the wobbly camera. We're going to take 2 damage. And he's moving up because he's the next contestant and the price is right. And he takes 2 damage. And it doesn't matter what the armor says. It goes through his armor. So he's halfway dead. And we killed him by doing a search in a magic mushroom room. So that's what I'm talking about. It's some pretty powerful ways of using actions in this game that indirectly help you. I mean, we got an item here, which we haven't looked at yet. We got 2 supplies, and we did 2 damage all in 1 action. So this type of game is all about action economy, and I did not get to move Ulrich into the next room, but I used really good action economy, I think. I'm very proud of that. So anyways, let's move on. So I got a Potion of Might, which is awesome for him. Now when he does a Might test, which is what he attacks with, he gets 2 extra dice. It's a one-time use, but that's an awesome one-time use. Okay, we damaged the frog, but unfortunately we still haven't done anything to the guys in the next room. So we need to get to that next room. And I want to use the trapper's rope if I can. And I want to use... So let's look at this. Rowan has, if I'm willing to use the green wavy thing, an ability to move 2 spaces for free, but then that means Willow can't use it. I'm not a big fan of that. One thing I forgot to do. When Hightower finished his turn, he got another card. This is a really good one, because blue is his best skill. So he gets to attack something 4 spaces away, and then he gives a focus to somebody, which is awesome. And then if we have a fire, he can deal another damage. So, again, the good cards just keep coming. And then Ulrich is getting another Valiant Stand. He already has one, so he's got a second one now. This one's a bit complicated one for him. It's got very limited use. It's probably my least favorite card of his. But if he has inspiration tokens, he could still get an attack in, and that part's good. And you could change alter dice. It's just, you have to spend inspiration tokens to do it, and I'm just not a big fan of that. Okay. Willow or Rowan? Who's going next? I'm looking for somebody that can get free movement. Okay. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I think Willow has the best stuff. I'm realizing a lot of my cards use fire, and I was really dumb to get rid of my fire like that. it's going to take at least 2 actions just to get into that next room. That's the other problem I have. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to activate Rowan first. I know I just said Willow was the better of the two, but we're going to do Rowan first. And Rowan's rope is just an awesome tool, because I just realized that Rowan can use this to basically teleport 3 spaces with his rope. So it basically says place your figure in any space within range, and his range is 3. So he's going to get a free movement out of the deal. So 1, 2, 3 puts him, he's right behind that door. He moved from here, 1, 2, 3, and that was with no actions. So that's what I liked about it, but we lost the diamond. Oh, and we got exactly what we were hoping for, another one of those. Okay, that opens up some doors for us. I don't want him to do a search in either room. I mean, he could search in the mushroom room, but we're going to save his search cards. He needs to be 1 space away from the monsters to be able to use these dark swirlies. Because it says I get to spend the dark dice to deal 1 damage to an enemy within range, and the range is 1. So he's got to be pretty up close and personal, and those enemies will move up to him if I can move him closer than Huey there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. 1 action will be another movement, and I want to get him next to those, next to here, because if I'm next to this in between rounds, this does a damage just like the fungus did. So 1, 2, we'll go 3 to there. So now he's next to here. Oh, we forgot something very important the last round. We triggered the mushroom, but we forgot to do this. I'm sure someone's going to put that in the comments. A hero adjacent can draw a clue. So we're going to do that, and I got to decide which hero is going to get the clue. And then this just gets discarded. We're going to make it Willow, because they were all adjacent, except for Hightower. So Willow gets a clue card from the last round, and it's falling debris. So I may resist 4 to discard this card, look at the bottom 2, and choose which one to resolve and shuffle the other back in. Otherwise, I discard and just gain 1 focus. I do not want to discard and just gain 1 focus. We need all the clues we can get. So we're going to do a resist 4, which is not blocked by armor. So the good news is her green skill is 2. So it's not the worst thing in the world for her. But this is another discard for her. Or for them. Alright, so let's do this. We have to do a resist 4. This is all last turn. This is when... here. Because if you're confused, it was during the quest turn. This phase right here, we were supposed to do all this. We did the activate here, but we forgot to do the activate down here. And just so you know, this one's going to activate. This one here is going to activate along with that at the end of the next quest turn. Alright, so here's 2 successes. One of them's a crit. And there's 3. And then I'm going to spend a focus to make it 4. I take no damage. I completely resisted it. Discard the card and then look at the bottom 2. And then it says, choose 1 to resolve and shuffle the other back into the deck. So I'm going to take the torn map. The other one was a toxic gas. So the torn map is now hers. And the other one will get shuffled back in. So she needs the other half of the torn map. And I'm okay with that. Now, back to regularly scheduled programming. the what's his name, Rowan, is going to get the other card because he's next to this feature, the weapon rack. So Rowan's going to get the other one. Okay, I want to use the Trapper's Rope. I exhaust one minion within range, and I can place 2 progress on a trap. So I'm going to use the Trapper's Rope to exhaust this minion who has the 2 armor. So that one's going to get exhausted and won't activate. So we will only get attacked by 1 of those 2 minions. That was an action. So now I have 1 more action, and that action's going to be this one. We're going to do Stray Knives. It's got a range of 4. It attacks with the green. I know that's hard to see. I may roll 1 alter die. And then for the wavy, I can deal 1 damage to an enemy within range. Okay, so with the wavy, I'm going to deal 1 damage to the enemy that has the 2 armor. Because he's always the hardest to hit, right? So we're going to take advantage of that. And I get to roll. Do I roll that die right away, or do I wait till the end of my turn? You know, I don't think this question ever came up with my friends. And they always rolled it right away, and I always let them. But you know what? When I'm on a video recording versus house rules, it's very important to get that right. Not that ever stopped me before to get it wrong. The rune effect is resolved after resolving any other effects on the card. I didn't know that either. So I explained that wrong. I said you could do it in any order. An altar die and altar pool showing the rune so must be rolled and returned to the altar pool. Rune effects on hero cards can optionally be resolved. Okay, we did get this right. That die, as soon as the card is done, gets rolled and I get to use it. So I explained that part right. But it's saying that I have to resolve the attack first before I do this. That's okay, because I'm not attacking the guy I just used this on. So that's not going to change anything. But it's still good to know. Okay, I'm going to do the attack on the other guy. And because my range is 4. And you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in range. All right. And his green skill is 3. So he's getting 3 dice for this bad boy. So let's see if I can roll this in your view without destroying the weapon deck. So we have 1, 2 successes, and then I have 2 of those. He actually has 1, so he could spend 1 to get 1. 2 successes will do 1 damage. He could spend 1 to get 1, which would that would do 2 damage. This thing has 6 hit points, so I'm not killing it with this particular attack. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just going to damage it once because the armor absorbed the other hit, and then I'm going to take 2 focus tokens. So I'm taking 2 focus tokens, so now he's up to 3. And I don't know how easy it is for you to see, but that's what he rolled. So the middle one got absorbed by the armor. This one over here did the damage. And then you can see that there's a focus token on this and a focus token on this one. And I just took the 2 focus tokens. I could have spent 1 here to do another hit and then gotten it back with this one, but I chose not to. So the difference is just 1 less hit on the monster who needed 6 hits, and that was a difference between 1 hit on him or 2. So I'm not too worried about it. Having the extra focus tokens, you'll find it's really nice to keep a few in reserve. And you're noticing that I'm getting stingy with spending them. But there's times when it's like, oh gosh, I need to spend 1 here. this was not one of those moments. Okay, so that turn is done, and so is that card. That's a one-use card. Okay, so here's the question. I used my rope. It's one action. I moved, that was 2, and that was 3. So that's all 3 of my actions. And I'm now going to draw a card. And the card I got was Stakeout. And when an enemy moves into space within range, you may immediately attack that enemy. And then we can use the wave to deal 1 damage to an enemy within range and then draw a card. That is awesome. Oh, this guy. I'm so happy with the 4 characters I picked. They're all awesome. Okay. So his turn's over. Now we go to Willow. And I don't know if Willow's going to end up leaving this room, to be quite honest with you. She's got some cards. We want to give out tokens. That's what we want to do. We want to give out tokens so we can quit relying on the altar dice so much. Those altar dice are sometimes very uncooperative. And then as far as the altar dice go, we don't want diamonds. Diamonds help the enemies the most. However, the frog will use the water. And that's a problem, because the frog will get to attack twice if that water is still there. Now, how do I know that? Well, some of it's just experience from playing this mission several times, but you just check your monster card, and you can see right there at the bottom of the frog, it says Water Engage. So it's going to do an Inflict 4 in orange, and his normal attack is the Inflict 5 in red, where my thumb is, and I just did an awful job of balancing. I would never survive those challenges and get Immunity Idol on Survivor. Okay. Oh, the guy who wrote me this hate letter. He hates it because I go when I'm thinking. So, just for him. Yeah. Oh. So this one card that is super awesome and puts melody tokens on all kinds of heroes, it uses diamonds and allows a hero to do an extra action. So I almost feel like I need to wait until diamonds are on the board, or otherwise it's wasting the card, or like a really valuable part of the card. So I'm going to wait. Let's do something else. Well, let's start with her character card. Her character card says I can spend a wavy token. I thought we had another wavy token than just that one. I thought we rolled another one. Apology. I can put a melody token out for a wavy token, but I thought we had 2 of them. That's why I was so excited. Oh, I did spend one. Okay. Okay, yeah. We're going to do the loot. We're going to play some music here. That's my first action of the 3. And so what that's saying is I'm going to test my purple. And for each success, I place 1 melody token on an enemy or a hero. Or character, which would be Huey. And then I can exhaust the water, spend a water, and choose a hero to gain 2 focus. So, the water, by the way, is going to be to give herself 2 focus, which I can't use for this die roll, because I got to do that last. But, we're going to test this, which for her is a 3. And that's awesome. And there's 1, there's 2, and like I said, I can't use that, so I will gain a focus. So I got 2 successes. That lets me put out 2 melody tokens. I'm going to give 1 melody token to herself, like she can use it herself. I'm going to give the other one to Ulrich. I would like to give a lot more out, and let's see if we can pull that off. So then we re-roll this. And I'm doing awful. Look at that. 3 awful dice. Okay. Oh, and then I chose herself to get the tokens. So, gonna discard the card. I think we're going to use this. For each success, place a melody token on a hero, card, or enemy, and then with a diamond, we get another hero can perform an action. So I'm going to do it again. I have 3 purple. There's 2 successes, and this time I will spend this for a 3rd success, because I have 3 of them. And so now I get to give out 3 melody tokens. I'm going to give 1 to myself, to Willow. I'm going to give 1 to Rowan, and then 1 to Hightower. So now everybody has a melody token. Everybody could at least, violate the crappy dice situation that we have there. And then I'm going to use one of my melody tokens that I gave to Willow to emulate the diamond to choose a hero to perform an action. So that used the card to its maximum potential. Now the question is which hero is going to do the action? Well, I'm not worried about the frog so much. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm thinking of moving Ulrich. I know it's not a very exciting action, but I have to move him anyways, and this is like a free move. So that way he doesn't have to do it next turn. And then Ulrich will be the one that gets attacked here. So if I move him 1, 2, 3, he'll be the one that gets attacked by the frog. Now, the problem is he's not going to get the free damage from this. I'm not putting the camera in the right spot. Ulrich was next to the mushroom. So in between rounds, Ulrich would do a damage to the frog. The frog only needs 2 damage to die, and you can see I still have 2 people next to that mushroom. So I don't need 3 people there. So yes, getting a free move with Ulrich closer to these new enemies, I think that was the right call. The other thing I could have done is I could have used the rope. But the problem is the rope only has a range of 3. So see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. If he was within range, I could have used the rope to knock the other guy out, and then both of them can't do anything. That's where this guy's awesome. You can just knock out minions, and they never attack you. But I was out of range for that. So Willow has one more. That card that Willow played, by the way, the Merry Minstrel, as you can see here, is a feat. That does not cost an action. That was a free thing that she did. So she still has 2 actions left. I could continue to use the loot. So the part where a hero gained 2 focus, that's exhausted. but the action itself I can do over and over again, so I could use this every single time. It's actually not a bad idea. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 more actions of it, and then we're going to just give out melody tokens like they're going out of style. Alright, so let's do 3, and then 3 again. So 1, 2, and I'll spend 1 to get 1. So 3 melody tokens. 1's going to go to herself, 1 to Ulrich, and 1 to Rowan. So everybody has 2 except for Hightower. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, and then spend 1 to get 1. You know what? Do I really want to send out 4? No, I'm just going to take a token for myself. 2 tokens for myself. And so she's up to 4. And I'll still send out 3 tokens though, because of the 3. She's going to give another 1 to herself. 1 to Hightower. And let's see, she gave 3 to herself so far. We'll give another 1 to Ulrich. No, Hightower. He'll get a 3rd. Okay. So, sorry I deliberate so much. There's some really good decision making in this game. I give the boys credit for that. There's a lot of options. It's a little overwhelming still. But that brings me to the conclusion of this round. So all the heroes are done. I forgot to draw a card for her, so let me do that real quick. And she got another one of those feat, the Merry Minstrel feats. Remember, these are free actions. So I will hold on to that and use it at some point when the time is right. Okay, heroes are done. I would swear the altar dice get rolled in between rounds. Why am I not seeing that? But I don't see it. So I think they stay that way. Yeah, that's not necessarily a thing. So that's the reason why Kayla, the Quella character, is so awesome, because she can manipulate those dice and keep rolling them. However, it's also why I chose Melody, because when these dice get awful like this, we have our chose Willow. We have these melody tokens, and it doesn't matter. Oh, I also forgot, you can discard a supply to roll additional hero die during that test. It can only be done once per test, and to basically add 1 die. So you can choose to spend supplies. We're really stingy about that one. I never do that rule, so I always forget about it, because the supplies help you at the end of the mission. But you can add a supply to, or spend a supply to add a die. Okay, so we're back to this phase here. So we start with the threat turn again, and we're just going to go from right to left character-wise. So she has 2 characters in front of her. These are the 2 that activate. The only other character, this one, is knocked out, so he's just going to refresh, right? So we can activate that one first. This guy has Noxious Odor. When it activates, it puts a threat token on any other minion that's in the threat area. Well, there's no other minions, so the Curious Odor doesn't do anything, so he's okay. She's the only one that's going to have activity. So we're going to start with the frog and then go with this one, and I'm going to put you on the map and we'll resolve this. So the frog is going to engage and inflict 5. And you can see that here. So if I push this up and this over, so he engages and he's going to inflict 5, and it's a red attack. Okay, so if he's unable to engage, he gains an armor token. Well, he's definitely going to be able to engage. And then if there was a water, he would inflict 4, I believe. Yes, but it would have been an endurance, like an orange check. Okay. Remember I told you they always attack the closest person. And the closest person is Ulrich. So the engage moves him to Ulrich. And remember, the amount of spaces he can move is here. It's 5. So if you're ever wondering, well, how many spaces does he move? It's right here. And you would think that 5 is like forever, and it is. But it is possible you can do some shenanigans where somebody spawns and you can get to the other end of the map. And especially when you have that druid-type character, what's her name, Gwendol, I can summon my cat away. So I can go in a room with the cat, make a bunch of minions spawn, and then summon it back. And that room the cat went into could be on the other end of the map. And then those minions are 100 miles away. So when it's their turn, they have to engage. I mean, they're moving all the way across the map trying to hunt us down. And it's something I do on purpose. I just send the cat 100 miles away. It's a cool trick, but with Gwendol, most of her cards, you need the cat near you to get bonuses. So you do pay a price. But anyways, we're not playing that character. I don't want to confuse you anymore. Just a cool thing that the brothers, they have different characters and there's different ways to play, right? But back to this. The frog is attacking with a 5. Now, Ulrich happens to have 3 red might, so he gets to roll 3 dice to defend against it. He's the most powerful person to defend against this frog. So it's not a coincidence that Ulrich happens to be the closest to the frog. So that's part of the strategy, right? So I'm going to give myself my best chance to defend against this frog. And here you go. 1, 2, 3. This could be 4. In fact, I will. I'll spend a focus token to make it 4. And then Ulrich has a natural armor, right here, of 1. So that's 5 for Ulrich. And so he blocked the entire attack and didn't take a single damage, which is exactly how it played. Now, I could have chosen not to spend this, and I still wouldn't have taken 1 damage, because Ulrich has 3 armor tokens. So I still could have chosen to not take a damage. And I don't know, I mean, it's like I said, it's nice to have those focus tokens for when you really need them. He's down to 1 now, but I felt like I wasn't willing to take damage yet. Okay, so frog is done, and that's it. Frog doesn't do the bottom because there's no water, and he doesn't get an armor token because he did engage, he just wasn't very good at it. Okay, next is the Raglan Burner. Now this guy has massive range, and yes, he's going to attack Rowan, and he's going to attack with a green. Okay? Rowan happens to have skill of 3 in green. Oh, guess what? My most powerful character to defend against this type of attack happens to be the closest. Again. So yes, that is part of this, and it was deliberate, and here he is. So now he's in range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it is a green inflict 5. We roll 3 dice. There's 1, 2, and that's a crit. Okay, so that's 3. The crit explodes, so I'm going to roll another die. And there's 4. I blocked 4. Now, Rowan is the only character in my party who... Oh, never mind. Huey is the only one with 0 armor. Rowan, I'm going to try to do a better survivor balancing here, has 1 armor. See that right there in the top left? So that's a natural armor, and it blocks inflict. So he blocked the entire thing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So this Raglan Burner, he's bad at his attacks too. Now he uses a diamond. There's no diamonds, so nothing happens. Okay? So we made it through the threat phase. That's everybody. Like I said, the one guy stood up, and the noxious odor, curious odor, doesn't do anything because there's no minions coupled with it. Okay, now we move to the villain turn. Now this guy could be a little nasty. Like I said, he activates, and each hero must either discard an armor or resist 3 blue. Okay? He must either discard an armor or resist 3 blue. And remember, I always forget that you can discard an armor. But that is an option. And everybody does have armor. Because we've been armoring up. Now, it's only hero. So Huey never ever has to worry about this check. Now, when it comes to the blue check, though, Willow has 2. Rowan has 2. Everybody has at least 2. So I'm not too worried about this. At most, I'm thinking I'll take 1 damage. So I'm going to go ahead and just roll the dice, which is why... So with the characters I like to play, blue is never a threat for me. Now, green can be a problem. 2 of our characters have 1 green. But everything else, not so much. Sometimes orange can be a problem, depending on the character you play. We actually have... Rowan has an awful orange. Okay, so let's start with Willow. Willow has 1 success, and then she could spend a focus. She'll spend the focus, and remember, this is a resist, so her natural armor doesn't work. So she takes 1 damage. Alright, next is Rowan, who also rolls 2, and there's a crit. Okay, so there's 3. Rowan deflects all of it. Next we have is Ulrich von Liechtenstein. Here's 2. They're both crits, so he has 2 successes. We're going to roll 2 more dice. That's another crit. That's a marker. I'm going to roll another die. Another crit. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to roll this one. That's 5 successes. So you might be wondering, okay, you only needed 3. Why are you rolling up to 5? Well, because now I have these 2 focus symbols, and I get to collect 2 focus tokens. So that's why you keep rolling. Now, if you happen to have 5 focus symbols in your inventory, that's the maximum you're allowed to have, just stop rolling. I mean, you're just showing off after that point. There's no Guinness Book of Records for how many times you can explode, but it's still very cool and fun, and it makes you happy and joyous, and I don't know. It's why we play board games, right? It's for moments like that where it's like, yes! And, all right. Now we go to Rowan, or I'm sorry, Hightower. He has 3. And there's 2 crits. And he has 4 successes, 5. And none of them are focus tokens. So he overkilled it and didn't get any focus tokens. So he's like that nerd that just saw the jock do something, and then he came out and technically did the same thing, but he was a lot more awkward at doing it. That's what that was. Because he didn't get any focus tokens. Alright. Maybe I have lived those kind of moments, or maybe I haven't. Well, yeah. Alright. The villain turn is not yet complete. Now we draw the Gert card. Okay? So we have Spreading Stench. These are never good cards, by the way. They're all nasty. Each character must resist 3 orange. Each character must... Okay, this is a test. And see that 3? You have to get 3 to pass. Otherwise, you fail. I'm sorry. Hold on. That's not this. Resist 3 is just... Yeah, he's doing 3 damage. You can block. Okay. Each character must add 2 to this difficulty if there are more enemies than characters in their room. That's the issue. None of our characters have more enemies than characters. So, I'm sorry, there's another one where you have to pass or fail a test, and if you fail, you just take 2 damage. I apologize, I was not reading it. So, that room with the weapon rack has 2 enemies, but we have 2 characters. Characters count in this case. And the card is every character has to do this test, so that means Huey too. So, Huey Lewis in the news has to do the Heart of Rock and Roll here. Okay, and then in the other room with the fungus, there's only 1 enemy, so no dice. Everything is going to be difficulty 3. And it is the orange check, so we're going to start with Willow, who has 2. And there you can see she has 2 successes. She can spend a focus to get a 3rd. She has 1 damage. She'll spend her focus. She still has 2. So she deflected it. Then we go to Rowan, who only has 1. And he got a crit. So now he has 2. And he can spend a focus to make it 3, and he will. And somehow, miraculously, with only 1 die, he defended against 3. That was well done. Okay, now it's Huey's turn. Huey blocked 2, and so 1 damage goes on Huey. Huey only has 7 health. Next we have Ulrich. He has 2. And he blocked 1. He's not going to spend a focus. He's okay with taking 2 damage. So Ulrich just took 2 damage. And he gets a focus. So now he's up to 4. Yes, he's a focus hog. Alright, and then we go to Hightower, who has 2. And there's a crit. So a crit and 2 successes, he blocked it all. Alright. We are done with the villain phase, and now we're doing the final phase, which is the quest phase. So I'm going to take this away. And the quest phase starts over here. And it starts with this card, which does trigger now. Each hero who controls a clue card must either discard a focus for each clue card they control or resist 3 magic. Okay, the other half doesn't apply yet. So, the only person who has a clue card is Willow. She has this torn map, and that's considered a clue card even though it's only half of a clue. Okay? So she can discard a focus, or she can do a resist 3 magic test, and she has 2 magic. It's 6 or 1/2. The whole reason I gave her focus is because I knew she had this, and it's nice to just, get rid of focus. But she only has 1 damage, and I'm going to go ahead and do the magic check. Maybe later on, I'm not going to be so bold, but right now, I will. And there you go, I got a 1. So I can take 2 damage and get a focus, or I spend a focus and take a damage. Okay, the whole point of doing this is I didn't want to spend a focus. So if I spend a focus and take a damage, I'm clearly getting the worst possible outcome here, because I could have just spent a focus and not gotten any damage at all. So I'm going to take the 2 damage. And at least get a focus token out of the deal. So she's up to 3 damage. The only issue with Willow is she only has 10 health. So this can be a little precarious, having 3 damage. She's already 1/3 dead, but I think we're going to be okay. These resist checks are awful because you can't block them with armor. Alright, now the quest continues. So we go to the mushroom. This triggers, and I hope I don't need to pull the card up for you. Just a quick reminder. If you're next to the mushroom, you get to apply 1 damage to any monster in the room. There is a frog in the room, and so the frog has 2 damage out of the 4 that it needs to die, and we happen to have 2 heroes next to that mushroom, and so they're going to do 2 damage, and this frog didn't even realize he was in boiling water. Done. Okay, it is a lurker card, so I got to make sure I discard that in a separate discard. The only thing of note with this is you still get a supply, because it's a minion, and anytime you kill a minion, you get a supply.